Fáilte Arás Gaji Stad Semple FBD for round 3 of the Munster Hurling Championship game between Waterford and Clare. Well, let's head up then to our commentary team for the start of the match. Seamus Hickey, but first, Dave McIntyre.
Thank you, Gráinne. Good evening, everyone. Well, there's no doubt this round-robin format in the Munster Championship has delivered some incredible occasions, but there's an old-school feel to this feeling. Waterford have to treat this like a knockout tie. Here's the 15 that will take to the field tonight. 3 changes made. Austin Gleeson is the highlight, wearing the 14 jersey. He starts for the first time this season. That's also the case for Peter Hogan, who joins Jack Prendergast and Neil Montgomery in the half-forward line, while Iarla Daly returns from a hamstring injury to make his first championship appearance of the year. He's in at corner-back. Well, unsurprisingly, Clare boss Brian Lohan had named the same 15 that began that FU win or Limerick, but in a late change and a huge blow as well. One of the players of the championship so far is out. Aidan McCarthy, replaced on the side by Ian Galvin, who makes his second start of the campaign. Paddy Donlan is promoted to the bench. Elsewhere, Eibhear Quilligan continues in goal. John Conlon faces Waterford in the championship for the 7th time, while this time Tony Kelly, who captains the team, is named at centre half forward. Well, it's a huge game for David Fitzgerald and his Waterford players, as it is for Clare, and the fans have arrived in big numbers as well. Let's get some of their thoughts ahead of throw-in.
Are you a big Clare supporter?
Yes, big Clare supporter. I organise buses to all the matches and we get a great response, and we're going to do it today.
It's always nice to get a game here in Semple Stadium.
Especially if they want to put Davy down.
What's it like to play against Davy?
Lovely. It lifts Clare.
Give us a score prediction.
Clare by 5.
Stuff, there you have it.
Good to go here at Semple Stadium. There's a Wicklow man in the middle tonight, our match referee John Keenan, a man who's taken charge of the Munster final in the past. Let's hope he has a reasonably quiet evening tonight. And we are almost ready to go, and Seamus Hickey alongside me immediately. You're looking up and down the field, Seamus, at some of these matchups and seeing how they pan out, but initially Ryan Taylor has contested the throw-in. He has been part of the Clare midfield through the opening couple of rounds. We'll see if he sticks in that position for the evening. Here's the Waterford wing forward, Neil Montgomery. Waterford will be hoping for a quick start, given how flat and listless they looked for almost the duration of that defeat to Cork in Páirc Uí Chaoimh the last time they took to the field. Looking for support was Jamie Barron, the captain. He was swallowed up there. McInerney couldn't grab it for Clare. Eventually it's picked by Cathal Malone, and back it goes to John Conlon. Time and space now for Conor Cleary. And looking down the field is McInerney. Deep ball into that full forward line. Almost won by Kelly. Coming across to take it for Waterford was Jack Fagan. This time it's Waterford who go along. Long effort from Calum Lyons. It's a very ambitious effort from him, and perhaps a little too audacious. That's the first wide of the game.
Yeah, up and down the field there. We're looking at the positional changes in the field there, Dave. Tony Kelly in at full forward. It's going to test Conor Prunty.
Iarla Daly finds Jamie Barron, one of the co-captains in this Waterford team this season. That's a beautiful first touch taken by Peter Hogan. He was fouled afterwards as he tried to find Conor Prunty's run. Prunty isolated here, been surrounded by Clare defenders. The referee decides those Clare defenders were a little too enthusiastic in the tackle, and Waterford will have another opportunity to get the scoreboard ticking over.
Conor Prunty for me has always been, for the last 4 or 5 years, that Daithí Burke-esque presence in the full back line, the half back line. one of the biggest performers in defence for Waterford outside of Tyga Burka.
Well, Hogan, after shipping that late knock, looks like he's fine. And so it will be Stephen Bennett who will stand over this free. The last of the Bennetts left in this Waterford squad, Kieran and Shane, have headed off to Australia and haven't been around in the last couple of years, and he's split the posts, and Waterford and Stephen Bennett are up and running. Ball down towards Shane O'Donnell. Couldn't gather it into his palm. And a ruck breaks out. Scrap for possession. In there for Clare was David Fitzgerald. There's 8 or 9 men in there at the moment. Eventually, it does break out. Going after it was Mark Rogers. Rogers needs the support run. He gets it in the guise of Diarmuid Ryan. He looks towards the post. Ryan with a flick of the wrist doesn't get enough behind him. Easily taken in the end by Billy Nolan, who's usurped Sean O'Brien in the Waterford goal this season. Nice shimmy, swivel of the hips from Darragh Lyons. Again, Clare have the additional man in there in the guise of John Conlon for that dropping ball, with Waterford playing that sweeper. Clare will have that 6th defender spare. Here's Cathal Malone now. Malone, as the Waterford defender stood off him, decides he's got the time and space to pick a spot, fires it over the bar, and that is the opening score of the game for Clare, Cathal Malone.
Cathal Malone is the glue of this Clare team. Said it last year when Tony Kelly was playing out around the middle. Cathal Malone was always that player sitting in front of the half back line, and against Limerick particularly the last day, winning so much of that dirty ball that Davy Fitz was talking about it before this game.
That's his first score of the championship. It was a risky puck out from Billy Nolan. He did well to find Darragh Lyons. Here's Iarla Daly now, trying to break through the challenge coming in from Ryan Taylor, and Taylor stood his ground, did enough to put Daly off, and he overcarried it, and Clare will have a chance to go in front.
I think Waterford actually come out of defence, have been left off with a couple of steps for the last one. Ryan Taylor, good contact, good tackle, just a few too many steps from Iarla Daly. He's been deployed to the half back line, and then man marking job, Darragh Lyons in on Tony Kelly in the full back line. A lot of movement around.
Well, with Aidan McCarthy not around tonight, the place ball responsibility falls again on the shoulders of the Clare captain Tony Kelly, their all-time championship top scorer. 137 he's amassed in the championship against Waterford in his career. Is this an early settler for him? Well, it looked like he'd pushed it to the right from the moment it left his hurley, and that is the case. First wide of the game for Clare. Clare's wait for a Munster title into its 24th year. For Waterford, you to go all the way back to the first stint when Davy Fitzgerald was in charge in 2010. The referee spotting a foul as that ball arrived in around the edge of the D. It was a foul on the centre forward, Jack Prendergast and Lismore, and Waterford will have their chance to go back in front.
Waterford's puck outs, especially against Cork, they didn't work, but it's long down the middle. They're looking for Prendergast, they're looking for Stephen Bennett to come out and claim ball. Today now they've Austin Gleeson to aim at, so unfortunately I think Adam Hogan clipped Prendergast there and hit the deck.
And Stephen Bennett has now scored 22 points in this year's championship. This is as easy as it comes for a player of his calibre, so over it goes. 37th championship meeting of these two counties. Clare have won 20, Waterford 12. There have been 4 draws in there too. And while a draw potentially would mathematically keep Waterford in this Munster championship, for all intents and purposes, they would be as good as out. They have to win here. Trying to pick it is Montgomery. In come the Clare cavalry. Well, that was clear holding on David Fitzgerald. He always had both his arms pinned behind his back. So we're cheat free for Waterford to give up just seconds after taking the lead for the first time. And this should be an altogether far easier proposition for Tony Kelly.
Yeah, how do you get around David Fitzgerald when he's got a ball at his feet? You can't get around him. He's just too big an individual. And for me, his work rate is what sets him apart in that middle of the field for Clare.
Kelly, who was rested for this fixture in last year's championship, Waterford, or Clare rather, were already through. They still beat Waterford that day. Over it goes. Just the single championship victory in this new format of the Munster Championship since its inauguration in 2019. That was against Tipperary. There's one other draw in there, and apart from that, it's defeats all the way. They're looking to avoid a 6th consecutive Munster Championship defeat this evening. Conor Cleary out in front for Clare. Spots a man spare in Diarmuid Ryan. Ryan took an age to clear his lines. He's fortunate the breaking ball went towards David McInerney, who's looking for Shane O'Donnell. Takes it in the left hand and spots a runner outside him in the guise of David Fitzgerald. He's underhit it. Second short ball that's dropped into the hands of Billy Nolan. Excellent delivery from him to Hutchinson. Might just be his first touch. Crossfield ball seeking out Jack Prendergast. Prendergast looking for Gleeson, flanked by 2 Clare defenders, trying to get up above John Conlon. Oh, it's been stolen, and a big goal chance maybe for Barron. Flashes it across the face of the post. Well, his first touch just let him down. It forced him to go back a second time, and when he did steady himself, he couldn't find the target.
And that's the danger if you go long into Austin Gleeson, even with the 3-on-1 that Clare had there. Breaking ball with super work from Barron.
Chance here for Diarmuid Ryan from an acute angle. Well, it could have been a goal at the other end. Instead, it's a point at the other end of the Kalina end for Clare, and they lead for the first time.
Diarmuid Ryan always likes to get forward down the right-hand side. It was quiet against Limerick, had a torrid time from Tom Morrissey, but he's a superb hurler, able to take a score.
We'll go back to your point there about Gleeson. Bubble Swire spoke about it in the build-up, Seamus, that they should pump it in on top of him. Even if he's not winning it cleanly, he could potentially wreak havoc in there. Here's Bennett now. Needs some support. There was a third man tackle, arguably, on Adam Hogan, and their referee wasn't interested. He had a good view of it. And with a little more time in his hands than maybe he realised, it's a poor wide from Stephen Bennett. 3 already now for Waterford. Clare work it short this time. Delivered by Cleary into no man's land. Now it's with Calum Lyons. Little ball inside to Peter Hogan. The Ballygunner man has a runner outside him, gets it back again. Such a strong Ballygunner presence in this Waterford side, the most successful club in the county and All-Ireland champions from last year. Lifted now by Malone. In 21 they won that All-Ireland. Malone's long ball in, trying to find Peter Duggan, who's been quiet in this year's championship. That's overhit over the head of Barron, and look at Shane O'Donnell up against his own 65 for Clare. But the referee again spotting the foul, and it will be a free in for Waterford, and the atmosphere is really growing again as we approach the 10-minute mark.
There's going to be a lot of that today, where you've got the ball going down the field for Waterford to 1 man in on top of 3 Clare backs, cleared down the far end to a spare man and sent back the other way. The free against Shane O'Donnell here is when he tosses Jamie Barron. He was complaining that Jamie Barron was giving him too much attention, grabbing his jersey, but Mr. Keenan, when he saw the WWE throw.
Well, here's the chance, Seamus, that was missed for Waterford for that opening goal of the game by Jamie Barron. He hit it on the rise, which wasn't ideal for him. He did strike it pretty well, but just couldn't steer it goalwards.
And it's a danger when you have a number of men back and free. You think you've more time than you have, and then Jamie Barron really, with I suppose the fast pace that he brings, sniped in, could have been back of the net.
Bennett looking to make a 3 from 3, allied to that wide. He's hit from play, arrows that one over the bar. That's his third. Waterford yet to score from play in this game. Ever Quilligan, who lost his place for the opening round of the championship to Eamon Foodie, got it back for the win over Limerick. Again, Waterford with that extra man back, and failing to take it was Jack Fagan. That's good pressure on Tony Kelly, though. And that's a wide ball.
Great pursuit by Darrell Lyons. He's letting Tony Kelly know that he's going to be around all day, but tough man to follow sideline to sideline, Tony. But he's got his work cut out for him with that spare man in front of him.
David Fitzgerald, who has a mixed record when managing against his native county. 1 win, 3 defeats. A couple of those with Wexford, 1 with Waterford in his first stint with the Dacia County. That's another really well directed puck out from Billy Nolan. plenty of time and space now for Jack Fagan. Fires it into Montgomery. Oh, they're going through the lines very neatly here, Waterford. This really would be a good score, but it's wide off the hurley of Neil Montgomery, and that is one they can ill afford because they had worked the opening so well.
Yeah, it's what we talked about after the Limerick game. Opportunities, clear opportunities that were lost. We don't want to be talking about that at the end of the game for Waterford today.
That's over the head of Bennett and gathered by Conlon. Conlon over near for where Diarmuid Ryan got his score, and he's put it across the face of the post and wide.
Even all-star full forwards can miss playing centre back.
Well, it's got to the point where we actually think of John Conlon as a centre back at this point, but he did so much of his hurling with Clare in the inside forward line. Here's Prunty. Little short pass. He might get it back again, Prunty. Instead, it's gathered by Jamie Barron. Barron with a flick of the wrist. And Barron puts it to the right and wide. Really inaccurate stuff from Waterford. You could see the frustration on the face of Davy Fitzgerald. 5 wides already.
Yeah, key not to let the frustration get there because all that build-up play was good.
Brilliantly taken by Kelly. He's got away from Darragh Lyons. He also getting beyond Jack Fagan and Kelly. Waterford should have scored at the other end. Kelly makes them pay with his second of the game, his first from play, and the Clare lead is 1.
That was a great fetch by Kelly. But as we're going to see here, Jack Fagan's intervention was just so crucial. How to stand up a guy that's running full tilt at you. Here we have Tony in the inset there. Fagan stands him up, takes the contact, because otherwise you're looking at through on goal.
That's a poor piece of play though from the aforementioned Fagan, and it's cost his side a free. Stephen Bennett lunging in on John Conlon. The man who played so well against Limerick before rushing back to his brother's wedding to give the best man speech. What a day that was in the life of the Conlon family.
Yeah, John Conlon is he's such a talismanic player for Clare. Like, what a great GA story to go back to your brother's wedding as best man and make that speech.
The shoulder from Prunty there, and he's won a free for Tony Kelly. Waterford will feel they've played the majority of the hurling in this opening quarter of an hour, but they don't have that much to show for it, apart from a increasing wise count. Kelly with 2 points already. He's got that one. Well, looking around Semple Stadium, the Waterford supporters are significantly outnumbered by their Clare counterparts. This nominally a home game for Waterford as Welsh Park continues its upgrade. Time for Darragh Lyons to send one long, trying to pick out Gleeson perhaps. But nobody in white really went after that ball. It's been overplayed though. Rushing out of defence was Rory Hayes, and he's gifted Waterford an opportunity.
Rory Hayes collects here, very well positioned under the dropping ball behind the break, and then when you look to give the pass and decide not to give it, you're carrying that extra 2 steps, and that's what he was caught.
Manu came off the bench against Tip, started the win over Limerick. So another easy one for Stephen Bennett. I guess it really doesn't matter how the scores come as long as they continue to flow from a Waterford point of view. So Bennett has all 4 of their scores, they're all from frees. So a 1 point game, quarter of an hour gone. Quilligan goes long this time, down towards Kelly. Won brilliantly by Montgomery. Such a strong carrier of the ball. He has Gleeson outside him, he's dropped deep in an attempt to get into the game. Oh, that's wonderful from Gleeson. That's vintage Austin Gleeson, a long way from the posts. And he's got his first score.
Yeah, David Fitzgerald stayed down on the puck out. Neil Montgomery, what a great fetch. And when he ran at John Conlon and took the contact, that was a superb strike on the run when he offered it off to Austin Gleeson. That's what he's in for, his leadership, his ability to score.
6th championship appearance against Clare for Austin Gleeson. That's the 19th point he scored against them. Well, there was a stiff arm outstretched from David Fitzgerald. The referee didn't like the look of it as that ball dropped in and around the 45-metre line.
Neil Montgomery really taking the physical competition under the ball in there. Kind of hard to argue how David Fitzgerald was was fouling, but John Keenan saw it that way.
And Stephen Bennett's gone all the way back to his own 45 to hit this. I'm not sure this is within his range, but we shall see. Almost no wind at all. It's nearly breathless around Semple Stadium. The odd flag flickering here and there under the sunshine and the hazy clouds as we look at Bennett put his whole body behind that. Distance won't be an issue, but the precision was wide number 6. I wonder if Waterford be better trying to work that sort of a situation short. The referee wants that taken again.
Yeah, it's a pity. Clare want that puck out. They want that puck out down the midfield channel to Dave Fitzgerald and to Shane O'Donnell. Disappointed they were pulled back on that one, they say.
Quilligan. Down on top of that Waterford full back line. Breaks towards Shane O'Donnell. O'Donnell dropping into the space, and he just pins his ears back, then steadies himself, flicks it over. Really good work from the Ayr old man. That's his first score.
Yeah, Shane O'Donnell is really, really sharp. He's been deployed a bit further from goal some of the time against Limerick, against Clare here, or against Waterford here today. He's just so versatile and such a key man for Clare.
That's a score to the 2 he got against Limerick. It's 10 years since his championship debut, Shane O'Donnell, and it was against Waterford that he first stepped into the championship arena, and he's still doing his stuff. Here's Ryan Taylor now, being pursued by Austin Gleeson. We'll keep a close eye on that Gleeson hamstring. And that is a 4th wide of the game for Clare. Here is Gleeson. Waterford starting to get him into the game a little more regularly. Conlon out the field to Malone. Malone looking for the runner, and he gets it in the guise of the man who was brought into the game in place of McCarthy, Ian Galvin, but he couldn't do anything with it. He might get another opportunity though. Galvin picks it well, turns back into the space where he knows he'll have this freedom to shoot. He pirouettes onto that one, and Galvin gets another score for the Claremen. The lead is 2.
Yeah, it was great work here, because I think Peter Hogan thought he had the ball cleared, turned over. Great work by Ian Galvin.
And Galvin got a couple of scores in the win over Tip, didn't feature against Limerick. Targeted with the short puck out this time is Mark Fitzgerald, one of the new faces in the Waterford setup this year, still very young. Gleeson, did he not pick that off the ground? Somehow manages to thread one through to Fitzgerald, who continued his run. Going after him is Tony Kelly. Oh, what a bit of defensive skill that is from the 2-time hurler of the year. Fantastic from Tony Kelly. He shows all he's got at both ends of the field. 2-on-2 inside, and the Waterford full back line are in big trouble here. Goal chance for Clare, expertly taken. What a brilliant goal that was. Galvin with 1-1 to his name now. Waterford were outnumbered, but it all goes all the way back to the application and work ethic of Tony Kelly.
Incredible to take that turnover from the work rate of Tony Kelly chasing back the field to that goal up by Ian Galvin. It is exactly what Waterford's defensive system is designed to avoid. But when they follow the play up the field to support the half-forward line, yeah, Jack Fagan, Iarla Daly, Caleb Lyons, nowhere to be seen.
Well, we wonder at what point in the week that Ian Galvin was informed he'd be starting. But either way, he's taken to it. He's warmed to his task very quickly. That's the 5th goal in championship hurling for the man from Clonlara. And Waterford are in a little bit of trouble here. It's double scores in Semple Stadium. They need to get the next couple of scores. Well, that's brilliantly taken by Conor Cleary. Waterford, though, quickly onto it. Here goes Jack Prendergast. Prendergast swallowed up, illegally so, and a chance for Waterford to respond. Well, you can barely catch your breath out there. It's a mild, muggy evening. Waterford playing for their championship lives. A quarter of an hour left in this first half, and you feel Waterford have to finish at the stronger of the two teams. They're certainly showing a lot more fight than they did against Cork at Páirc Uí Chaoimh. Over it goes from Bennett for his 5th. But I can't say they haven't had their chances, Seamus. They've had that Jamie Barron goal effort. They've hit 5 wides already, 6 in fact.
No, Davy's got to be happy with the effort that they're putting in. It's just the final application when they're shooting.
It looked like it was initially taken by Peter Duggan, but it was snatched from his grasp. Trying to come away with it is Prunty now. Such a strong carrier of the ball, and they took a shoulder to his front there, and that could be a card. And also it could end up with the ball being thrown up because Davy Fitzgerald has been sent to the ground. Temper's just starting to fray. Prunty staying down, Fitzgerald as well. Let's see how the referee unravels all of this.
Yeah, the thing here now is we're looking at Caleb Lyons getting spoken to. When you enter a melee of players as the 3rd man, you're putting yourself at serious risk. Came in, give Dave Fitzgerald a shoulder, took umbrage what he did to Conor Prunty. But that was their situation. That was under control. It was Waterford's ball. Unnecessary. I know he was standing up for his teammate, but got to hold the head, especially when you're after conceding a goal and against the run of play.
It could result in the referee overturning that free. So David Fitzgerald may be booked for the initial tackle. Caleb Lyons is going to be shown a yellow card for his reaction after that challenge on Conor Prunty. So interesting times, and the referee does throw it in, and that's a mistake from Waterford and one they could ill afford. Montgomery, though, if anything, has enhanced the situation, winning a free maybe 5 metres out from where initially Prunty was hit. So I think, having missed the previous one, Stephen Bennett has said to Austin Gleeson, you take on this long-range effort. But should they be looking for a runner? Should they be looking for something a little short?
As a player, especially as a non-free taker, I'm always for playing that ball in from this distance. When you've missed the last one particularly. We'll see what happens here.
Well, maybe Austin Gleeson will make fools out of the pair of us. It's tailing away to the left, but it's coming inside that left-hand upright, and Austin Gleeson does say to Seamus Hickey, I'll show you what I'm capable of. That's his 2nd of the game and his 1st from a place ball.
I might hold off the management call there for a while.
So a couple of points in succession on the back of that Galvin goal. Here's Gleeson now, Conor Gleeson. Good awareness of what was happening in and around him, and it's been picked by Stephen Bennett. Bennett being pursued by Diarmuid Ryan. Good stick work from Bennett. And it's off the ankle of Conor Cleary and out for a line ball to Waterford.
That looked very clever from Stephen Bennett. It looked like he deliberately played it off the foot there to go back over the line because there wasn't much else inside him. He was been trailed by 3 Clare men.
David Fitzgerald has now managed a side in the All-Ireland Hurling Championship in 14 of the last 15 years. Incredible record as well, winning provincial titles with 3 different counties. That line ball is taken by Conlon. Now a chance to clear for David McInerney, opts to go back to his keeper. Clare just slowing things down. Eventually it's driven long by Ryan, tried to avoid the sweeper. Out in front well was Mark Fitzgerald, and he's fouled by Peter Duggan. And Austin Gleeson will be quick onto the scene to say, I'll have another go. A little more central this time, and arguably a metre or 2 closer to the Clare posts.
And something to take note of here, because here we see Peter Duggan trying to get in over the ball on Mark Fitzgerald. Coming out of the physical contest that Clare had against Limerick and the free flow that Cullum Lyons allowed the Cork referee, coming into a game then when it's refereed differently and the physicality has to be measured differently, it's actually a tough thing to measure from week to week. They're giving away a lot of frees, I would say.
Guess you have to play the referee in question on the day, don't you? Waterford with 6 of their 7 scores coming from place balls. The only man who scored from play is this guy. Austin Gleeson is looking to replicate what he did a moment ago, but it's left it short, didn't give it enough. Fielded by Conlon. Sees an awful lot of space down that right-hand side, and now the ball is over the head of Rory Hayes. What a mistake! Gathered by Peter Hogan. Behind him is Jamie Barron, and Jamie Barron makes Clare pay. 3 in a row for Waterford, and they're back to it in 2.
Yeah, well tidied up from just the mental error there from Adam Hogan. Young guy starting his second or his third championship game. Yeah, Jamie Barron this time makes it pay. This is the points from play that they were missing from earlier.
The 49th point of Jamie Barron's championship career. The man who also made his debut in that game that Shane O'Donnell made his debut in a decade ago. Ever Quilligan goes long, down towards Peter Duggan. They're going to break out to Tony Kelly now. He can't gather it. O'Donnell was fouled, however, and it will be a free in for Clare, who feel there could have been an advantage that may have been played in their favour. Because I think it was Colm Malone. In fact, it was David Fitzgerald that was just making inroads down that left-hand side. Referee pulled them back.
Yeah, the hurley got caught up by Darragh Lyons up around the shoulder of Shane O'Donnell.
So this to leave that Ian Galvin goal between the teams. Tony Kelly, one of the great hurlers of his generation. Former hurler of the year and young hurler of the year, won in the same year. And 10 years ago, how quickly the time has passed in the intervening period, but he's still one of the best in the business. That is his fourth. Nobody in a Clare shirt remotely close to Jack Fagan. Fires it across to Darragh Lyons. Lyons has an option inside, and Neil Montgomery. Waterford are exploiting these spaces between the lines, but now they need to make it pay. Montgomery off his left side. It's wild, it's under pressure. He was off balance. It's a 7th wide.
A lot of work to do when you meet that Clare half backline, that wall of players. Too much for Neil Montgomery on that occasion. Mark
Rogers has been on the fringes of the game so far. Can he announce himself? Pops it infield to Ryan. Ryan looking for a second point from a very similar position, and over it goes.
Now, so Dermot Ryan now is obviously going to take up that position again and again and again until Waterford stop it. It's going to cause a lot of damage until they do.
The lead is out to 4 now. What a fetch that is from David McInerney. Leaves it short to Hayes now. Clare now looking to finish this first half strongly. 4 points is the difference. Breaking out with it is Malone. Looks towards Duggan, being well shackled by Fitzgerald. But Duggan goes back for another bite at it. Blocked off, brave play from Prunty. Referee says play on. There's bodies strewn all over the Semple Stadium turf. Here's Iarla Daly now. Just about held by Gleeson. It was beyond him when it arrived in his direction. Austin Gleeson puts another ball wide. And each of these wide balls just deals another psychological blow to Waterford. Prunty can't gather it, nor can Darragh Lyons. Eventually Waterford do come away with it. Clever hand pass back into the space occupied by Lyons. And now it's Peter Hogan, steadies himself, has a look at the posts. It's curling, it's dropping right over the black spot. Oh, did Waterford need that score? And Peter Hogan was the man to deliver it on his first championship start of the year. The score is coming thick and fast now. A wayward ball. It was lost by Ryan Taylor, but he's been fouled on his way through, protesting his innocence. Oh, that is a second yellow card. Caleb Lyons, you could see the panic in his body language. As soon as the referee blew the whistle, he knew he was in trouble. He couldn't plead his case quickly enough. Disaster for Waterford, who are down to 14 men.
Yeah, no, there's no choice with the yellow card there, and he's going to look back at the first yellow. He's going to look back at the shoulder to Dave Fitzgerald's chest and wonder, did I need to do that? There was a clear one where he just clipped down Ryan Taylor as he was in full flight. He didn't know where the ball was.
Well, given that Tony Kelly's likely to put this over the bar, the 2 yellow cards were absolutely needless. Got involved in a tackle he'd no real interest in for the first yellow, and stuck the hurley out there to trip Ryan Taylor on his way through. He hasn't saved his side a point because it's been dispatched by Tony Kelly regardless. And what a deep, deep hole Waterford are in now. They trail by 4 and they're a man down. Caleb Lyons, arguably the quickest defender they have, is no longer on the field. Waterford will have to delve deep into their reserves of belief and energy now between now and the full-time whistle. What have they got left in the tank? Mark Fitzgerald. He's going for a score here. And it's another damaging wide.
We're looking down the far end of the field. John Keenan stopped that quick puck out because Billy Nolan, the Waterford goalkeeper, was marking Peter Duggan full forward at the far end. Waterford need to change their shape now that they've got a hole to fill in their back line.
Well, Clare will be able to work pretty much every puck out any which way they want it now. There'll be a spare man somewhere. Waterford certainly won't be able to play with a sweeper anymore. He's lost his hurl there, Jack Fagan, but he was being fouled. Can Waterford tack over a score or two before the break? Just put themselves into a slightly more positive frame of mind.
Yeah, just wondering what John Keenan saw here. Who's come in? Yeah, smart. Yeah, no, Dave Fitzgerald grabbed the arm, pulled him down. That was actually very well spotted.
Here they go through Billy Nolan. So long waited for Stephen O'Keefe to step away, and then when he did, he lost his place to Sean O'Brien. But he's the number one again. Here's Gleeson. 7 years since he was the number one hurler in the country. The angle became ever more acute, and he's put it in behind the post, and we are already into double figures on the wide count for Waterford.
The ball went wide there, but I'm actually very encouraged what I'm seeing from Austin Gleeson today. Like, he tracked back earlier, chasing Ryan Taylor, one of the fastest players of the Clare team. No ill effects. He's moving extremely well, which has to be encouraging for Waterford.
The question could be, for how much of the 70 can he maintain it? He has played so little hurling, he's trained so little in the last couple of months as that ball is sent forward by Neil Montgomery. Oh, lovely bit of artistry from Jack Prendergast. Looking for his little bit of space. Back out it goes. Waterford need this, they won't get it. It's an 11th wide. They're sinking further and further into oblivion when it comes to this wayward shooting.
And so now they're in a lose-lose situation, Waterford, where they're forced to shoot further out the field because of the number of bodies in front of them, and their return rate from long shooting is terrible. So they're where they just don't want to be.
Well, they are operating at well under 50% in terms of their shot taking. Here's Bennett. That's exactly where Clare will want him. 70 metres from their own goal. Lost the helmet. Has to make sure he doesn't lose his temper in the process.
Peter Duggan comes in here and just, you're taking a chance when your hand rolls up a shoulder onto a face guard. You're talking about a team now down a player in Waterford. Clare have to make sure that the books aren't balanced as this game goes along. David Fitzgerald is on a yellow from the same altercation as Caleb Lyon's first yellow. So Clare have to keep the heads here.
So Bennett's fine. Austin Gleeson is placing it 2 additional minutes. And Waterford bring it back to a goal. Gleeson right under the nose of his manager. You can just see him there at the bottom of your picture. The Clare man in charge of the Waterford hurlers. Gleeson has scored 2 already. That's a really good strike. Over it goes. His third, Waterford's 10th, and just that Ian Galvin goal separating the two teams. Still time for more. Quick switch of the play from David McInerney across to Dermot Ryan. Shane O'Donnell ended up on his backside, but that wasn't the target of that delivery. It was Mark Rogers. O'Donnell goes in to try and win it. He felt he was fouled. Referee wasn't interested. Now it's with Darragh Lyons. Runs into the Clare rearguard. It was Peter Duggan he had to take that collision with. Now Desi Hutchinson, what a quiet first half he's had, but that's a wonderful bit of vision from him to pick the run of Montgomery. Montgomery looking for a goal perhaps. Great bit of play from David Fitzgerald, flicked it away from the Waterford wing forward who needs some support. Helping him out though is Hutchinson. Hutchinson over his shoulder, and that is wide.
Neil Montgomery did exceptionally well to actually hold up the ball even after Dave Fitzgerald's flick off the hurley. Desi Hutchinson, like you said, been so quiet. They really need him. And the ball is taken on here. What a touch by Dave Fitzgerald there in the inside picture. What a great
Never
step.
took his eye off the ball. Here come Waterford again. Prunty. Can they engineer another score? Well, certainly not expecting that was Jack Fagan. And now it's with Mark Rogers. Got those 2 brilliant goals against Tip, but his balance eludes him at the crucial moment. Gets it back towards Galvin. And now Cathal Malone. breaks through 2 Waterford tacklers and spots Galvin outside and looking for his second point, but the flag was up on the far side. He was in touch, and it will be a line ball to Waterford as the clock ticks towards the end of these 2 additional minutes.
Yeah, and I think Clare are going to be happy to get to half time here. I think Brian Lohan will want to get the boys in, because it's a dangerous place when you're a man up and you play passive, because Clare don't seem to be really attacking the Waterford line in the last 5 minutes.
And then Gaynor and Liam Cahill in a deep conversation, a penny for their thoughts as the tip manager looks on. Well, Waterford have hung in there. They are a man down. They'll have to tidy things up front. 12 first half wides. David Fitzgerald knows that the door is only just ajar on their championship hopes. Half time at Semple Stadium. Waterford 10 points. Clare a goal and 10. We'll have analysis next.
Clare out on the pitch, so Waterford to follow. Leadership, lads, inside in that dressing room, I'm sure. Well, what is it like, David? What is it like in there now from a Waterford perspective?
Well, I think you're going to need Ozzy Gleeson to step up. I know we've been talking about him a lot. You could hear the crowd when he got that score from play down the sideline. He's going to be huge in the second half. He's going to have to drag the team back into it, kind of like Shane O'Donnell against Wexford last year. I think if Gleeson, we're putting a lot of pressure on him, but he's going to need to step up big time, I think.
Yeah, exactly. My concern for Waterford would be that Clare would have had a huge amount of errors there in that first half that actually contributed to those scores, those frees. If Clare can be a little bit more disciplined and get those shooters on the ball, it's hard to see Waterford being able to turn it over with only three scores from play in that first half.
Yeah, I think even we were talking about Conor Prunty. I think even if you put Conor Prunty in at 6. Get Conor Prunty at 6, a leader, Jamie Barron midfield, a leader, and Austin up front, a big leader as well. If you get them 3 players into the game and on the ball, it will help Waterford a lot. But as Owen said, it is going to be hard to come back from here with that breeze. But Waterford do fight. They do fight, and I will be expecting something from them in the second half. But whether it'll be enough, I don't know.
There's been a red card as well here on the sideline as well for.
Looks like a clear mentor.
Yeah,
I think for maybe one for each team, I'm being told as well for that. So sure Dave McIntyre and Seamus Hickey will have the latest on that for us. But just from a Clare perspective, like how happy will Brian Lohan be, David, with that performance in the first half?
I think he'll be happy enough, to be honest, because Waterford had to have a lot of shots. Like Clare's efficiency is not too bad. 4 wides, they got 2 hooks, two drop short and 2 wide strikes. Tony had 1 free, so he'll be happy enough. There is a stiff breeze in it, but as you can see, the first half Waterford had a lot of wide, so it is tricky enough. The thing from Clare's perspective is some of their backs could start shooting the distance. I think get the ball to the right player. That's what Brian will be telling these players. Get the ball to the shooters and get the scores on the board.
Yeah, and Davy, as we're waiting for them to come out, I mean, have any of you actually played under Davy? Like, what is he like in a dressing room?
No idea, never played against him. But
I have in 2007, yeah. That's a long time ago, Bubbles. No, yeah, you were only nappies. But in 2007 I was in LIT and we won a Fitzgibbon Cup together. But I would say this about Davy, is that you'd go through a wall from him. No, I was only there for a short period of time, but again, he brings a fierce togetherness within your squad. There's a fierce belief that he would do anything for you. It's just a case of, no, today, can Waterford out and maybe go back to what they're good at. They're excellent hurlers. Any fella that pulls on an inter-county jersey is at the top of his game within his club. I hope they come out now and actually give a proper reflection of themselves and maybe abandon the whole systematic style that they've been kind of.
Can I ask, when you're scoring though, and wides are going over after over, and everyone keeps trying and they keep going, like how does that affect you, Bubbles? Like as a forward, and see, you never miss too many, of course. But
I don't know about that, but it all depends on the confidence that I suppose you might get from the sideline. If you're encouraged to shoot and you keep missing and you're still encouraged to shoot, you'll have no problem in keeping doing that. But we'll just say for Neil Montgomery, for instance, that he has 3 wides in the first half. Like, is he going to want to shoot in the second half? Maybe not. Whereas if that was an Austin Gleeson who had 3 wides, Austin will stay shooting all day. So it all depends on maybe the personnel or who it is and the actual confidence that the person has in themselves. So it differs, but look, it's a hard question to answer, but it all comes back to maybe a confidence issue and the encouragement coming from the sideline.
And we can see the crowd get a little bit agitated as well.
Tactics, yeah.
They want the players out, but In terms of that confidence, David, I mean, I'm sure you've all played in training where every single ball has gone over the bar, and maybe you come to actually a pressure situation and it just doesn't work. Like, Waterford are in serious pressure here because this is it.
Yeah.
If they don't get something today, that is their championship gone for a second year.
I expect Waterford to probably come fighting here, but Clare have been our experienced team now the last couple of years. They would have been disappointed with the All-Ireland semi-final last year. So they've serious belief in what they're doing, and they would have got massive confidence from that win over Limerick. So even if Waterford come back into this game, I find it very hard to see Clare losing it, because they have such belief in the players around them. They trust each other so well. I know Davy's in his first year, but I'd imagine Clare, if they get on top at all, it could be a big win here.
So just talk to me a little bit about Clare's shape in that first half, because we saw Shane O'Donnell at times playing in the full back line, half back line. So what was that about?
I think it's a tactic that Davy has used quite often. I think in the 2019 All-Ireland semi-final against Wexford, tip against Wexford, I was wing forward picking up Sean Murphy, and all he wanted to do was sprint down the sideline into the full forward line. So it is something that Davy tries to use, but I think it's playing into Clare's hands because you're crowding out Desi Hutchison.
OK, well, as the team has come back out and not to the best of receptions, but let's head back then to our commentary team for the second half. Seamus Hickey and Dave McIntyre.
Yes, thank you, Gráinne. Well, the sideline official had to head back to the changing room and get Waterford to make their way back onto the field. We'll see if that extra few minutes they've taken for that half-time team talk reaps dividends. Early ball into Desi Hutchinson. They need a quick start here. Hutchinson looking to provide just that, and he puts it over the bar. He was not played close enough to goal in the first half. Maybe that's a sign of Waterford's frame of mind for this second period.
Yeah, if they can just consistently create that space and that channel for him to run into. He really shook Rory Hayes out of his boots before he turned in and threw it over. That's what Waterford need from him.
Referee showed a couple of red cards over the course of the half-time period to members of the backroom team. One for Waterford, one from Clare. There was an unsavoury incident involving one of the Clare backroom staff and David Fitzgerald as he tried to leave the field afterwards, but that will be dealt with another time. Here's Tony Kelly out in front of Darragh Lyons. Kelly bearing down a goal. Kelly for Clare. Good save by Billy Nolan. I'm not sure the attempted goal was actually on target, but Waterford, well, their blushes are spared on that occasion.
Yeah, they didn't expect Tony to push on there, but when he did, the extra man covering back, so Darragh Lyons chasing him. Space was closed down, the angle was bad, and I don't even think Tony committed to the last shot just to get a 65.
Well, the man who has scored 9 goals in Championship Hurling, some of them under that man, David Fitzgerald. He'll come out to take this 65. Well, will Waterford go man for man? They currently are 3-on-3 inside in the full forward line. They surely have to take some risks now, even when they were struggling. Well, on the field and on the scoreboard against Cork, David Fitzgerald didn't appear to be changing things up massively. But they are in the last chance saloon here. Tony Kelly over the next 35 minutes or so will look to slam that door closed on them. 5 points already for the Clare skipper. Make that 6. So that half-time 3-point lead re-established. Waterford yet to score a goal in this year's championship. You feel they're going to need a couple in this second half. And they're against a side that have conceded 7 in their 2 games. Little flick of the ball over the top to Ryan Taylor. And now Taylor will look to leave Jack Prendergast in his wait. He's got Fitzgerald outside him, scoops it over the onrushing keeper. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Wonderful bit of skill from the midfielder. He'll feel that deserved a goal, but the upright intervened and Waterford survived. Surely that would have been game, set and match. Can Waterford benefit from it and exploit some space down the other end? Here is Desi Hutchinson. A little over 14,000, the confirmed attendance here at Semple Stadium. That's a foul on Desi Hutchinson. And a chance for Waterford and Austin Gleeson to make it a 2-point game.
Yeah, what a chance. That's a bad swipe from Dermot Ryan, looking for the ball, but really badly timed, poorly controlled. But what a chance for Dave Fitzgerald at the far end. That was a perfect choice of finish. Just the width of the post and the difference. It would have been goal of the year if it hadn't gone.
Well, wherever Caleb Lyons is watching, he might wonder how much of a difference there was between the foul that led to his second yellow and the foul committed by Diarmuid Ryan there. So Gleeson, 3 first half points, but he had as many wides as well. They were operating at well under 50% in terms of their taking of chances in the first half, and that's a dreadful connection from the former hurler of the year. As Clare send one down, angle ball in towards the corner, and Tony Kelly just lets it drop over his shoulder. Chasing him is Darragh Lyons. Kelly dragging Lyons into parts of the field he mightn't be overly comfortable, and Tony Kelly pops it over for his 7th. And if Tony Kelly really begins to purr, it is unlikely Waterford will have any further role to play in this year's championship beyond the weekend.
Yeah, when he turned back inside Darragh Lyons there, he'd all time. That's a horrible position for Darragh Lyons to be in. The amount of space he has to cover Tony, and he's got no help from what he typically has in front of him. And as David and Bubbles said at half-time, a guy that's just not used to playing cornerback, Mark and Tony inside. The matchup is probably a tough one.
Well, after that play, they've made a switch and put Jack Fagan on. We'll see, will he get any more joy? What a take from Conlon. Clare looking to put the foot down here. Diarmuid Ryan, somewhere between a delivery and a wide and an effort on goal. That is a 5th wide of the game for Clare. Compare that to the 12 that Waterford had, and then the missed goal chances and that earlier miss from Gleeson. Here's the opportunity for Fitzgerald.
And it was right. So Ryan Taylor is this danger every single time he plays, and the touch into Fitzgerald, he didn't have time to collect and strike. Great choice of finish, but just imagine, look how close that was.
Off the foot of the post. Foul in the middle of the field, goes against Waterford. The foul on Ryan Taylor, who started this second half impressively. Clare have won the last 4 championship meetings between these counties, and they're on course to make it 5 from 5. Lohan and Fitzgerald, who's spent well over a decade together in the trenches of Clare senior hurling, won 3 Munster championships together, a couple of All-Irelands. Not sure they remain on speaking terms, but it's the Clare man in the Clare dugout that's coming out on top at the moment. So Kelly on his own 65. That's the table as things stand. Clare leading the way. They'll have more than 1 foot in the knockout stages of the All-Ireland if they can see this through, and they will be a win in their final game away against Cork from a place in the Munster decider. Kelly rips one from distance and rips it over the bar. That's his 8. He's already got 3 in the second half. 5 points the difference now.
And the hard sledding for Waterford, they're going uphill now with the man down, but puckouts are slow. Tony Kelly is taking his time taking frees. They want this to wind down the clock second by second until they run out of time.
Billy Nolan forced to go long at the end. You wonder why he didn't do it earlier when he had no pressure on him. Poor, amusing decisions being taken at times by Waterford. Here's Conlon. He has so much time to pick a spot, and a very good spot indeed he has picked, and that's a foul. Mark Rogers coming out looking for the ball.
Yeah, Clonlara, the Clonlara connection. Picked him out really, really well. Just, again, there's so much space to cover that when you're second to the ball, you feel like if he turns you, he's gone. Sometimes the free is the smart option.
It might have been Ian Galvin, in fact, who was fouled as that ball arrived. Well, Waterford yet to score in the second half. Apart from that Desi Hutchinson effort, which was pretty much the opening play of the second period. That's 9 for Kelly. Didn't even watch it go over. He knew exactly where it was headed. There is a real danger here, Seamus, that Waterford will exit this championship with a whimper now over the next half an hour.
So that was the problem at half-time, is that their finger in the dam, and there's a chance when the pressure comes on that it may burst.
They can't get a break around the middle of the field at the moment, Waterford. 1 win in 14 Munster Championship group games since this new format was introduced. Clare have won more of these games than any other county in the province. Even more than Limerick have won 4 of the last 5 All-Ireland titles. And before the game, Davy Fitzgerald pointed to Cork as a source of inspiration. They lost their opening 2 group games last year, but did emerge from the Munster Championship and into the All-Ireland series by winning their final 2 games. Look at the space all over the field for Clare. Here's Galvin. Drops it in, it could drop short and spell danger. Oh, it's almost picked off by Duggan. Waterford bring it away. How much belief have they got within themselves that they can turn this around? Nearly 9 minutes since they last raised a flag of any colour. Picked off by Taylor. That's a Waterford line ball. They need goals.
You get the sense that they're just trying to get their hands in possession and build something from it. Austin Gleeson was trying to shake Conor Cleary inside, couldn't shake him. Ball went up for sideline.
And that line ball is down the throat of John Conlon. Now David McInerney. Poor first touch, but Clare can afford to make mistakes now. And he'll get another go here, David McInerney. It's almost like a warm-up game, a training drill for Clare at the moment. It's a terrible ball out. Tony Kelly, oh, he has come to play in this second half. He's into double figures, and he's putting Waterford to the sword on his own.
Yeah, turnovers, casual play, when you're under pressure, when you're down man, you can't do it. And of all the people, Tony Kelly, he really has been sharp today.
Nolan finds a spare man in Darragh Lyons. Well, it's an aimless ball. So little Bennett can do with it. He's trying to make something of it, Stephen Bennett. He's turned a nothing ball into a free.
Yeah, Conor Cleary lost his hurley in the shuffle inside in front of the goals.
He's trying to make the point that that was a goal-scoring position and that the referee should be taking more stringent action.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he got the free. I think he got the reward for the play and what he got. But Austin Gleeson is going to get more ball in there. I hope that they deliver more ball. Darragh Lyons, the ball was too probably far away from the goals there. Austin Gleeson managed to turn nothing into something. But it's hard to play full back with no hurley.
Well, Stephen Bennett still not happy with the way things have gone. He just threw an arm out there. Luckily enough for him, the referee had his back to it.
Yeah, he was. Rory Hayes talking to him, he didn't appreciate it. Ah, that's nonsense. Yeah, forget about Rory Hayes. Get up, please.
Hayes is really
just wants to get
that.
the ball.
A push in the face guard and down he goes. That unfortunately is increasingly creeping into the game of hurling. Conor Cleary's been shown a yellow card. Bennett looking for his 6th point. Just the second of the second half. So Cleary into the referee's notebook. 6 points between them. McInerney. Oh, Kelly took a chance that the ball would find its way to him. That's exactly what happened. Oh, it's all going Tony Kelly's way now. He's not the kind of man that needs additional luck to get his game going, but everything's breaking in his favour. That's his 11th.
Yeah, so Tony is playing the fact that his man does not play in the full back line. Darragh Lyons is playing the ball as if he's out around the middle of the field and there's a safety blanket behind him. There is no safety blanket when you're playing the full back line. You cannot be as aggressive as he is to those balls.
And interesting, with almost 50 minutes gone, David Fitzgerald hasn't made any changes. The referee, I think, is looking to track down one of them. May come on for one of the two sides, and the man in question has been attempting to put as much distance between himself and the referee as he possibly could, but eventually he's been tracked down. And there he is.
So just for context, you're seeing an awful lot more of this around the championship this year, particularly. Donald O'Grady, hurley carrier and selector for Limerick, was yellow carded in Gaelic grounds 2 weeks ago. They're trying to reduce the unsanctioned entries into the field, really enforcing that rule.
Well, if things continue as they are, Clare will have to get someone out of the crowd to carry the hurleys, because they've already had one man sent off, and that other guy's on a yellow now. Conlon can't hold on to that one. Gleeson felt he was fouled. Here is Jamie Barron, whose influence in the game has waned as the minutes have ticked by. Foraging for it is Ryan Taylor. Down towards Shane O'Donnell. Waterford are playing with 13 men at the moment because Austin Gleeson is down receiving treatment. Well, that's a clear pull on the jersey of Rogers. The ball has been played over the top. Referee tried to play an advantage, which didn't really accrue for Diarmuid Ryan, and it'll be another tap over free for Tony Kelly.
Yeah, Mark Rogers continuing his fine championship form. Thought the referee tried to play the advantage there. Really, really good use of it.
Well, should Waterford had a free at the other end. Conlon coming in over the top of him.
Yeah, he sweeped the hurley as he went up just to protect his head, just to protect his hand. He sweeps it to protect the hurley, and then I think he clipped the top of Austin Gleeson's helmet. Nothing intentional, nothing malicious, but Austin felt it.
It's interesting that up to this point, Seamus, David Fitzgerald hasn't made any changes. Not sure he trusts what's behind him, the bench. He is about to make this first switch of the day, and it's the wild card in this Waterford squad, the 19-year-old Patrick Fitzgerald from Ballygunner, the next great hope in terms of Waterford attacking players. 1-4 on the Munster Club final win over Ballyer last year, part of this year's under-20 setup. So he will come in for what is just his third championship appearance, made his debut against Limerick. And he's come on for Peter Hogan. But he's a man with speed and skill. They need goals, so why not? So after a long break in play, Kelly does score his 12th. 8 between them. It's all one-way traffic at the moment. And another wayward puck out. Shane O'Donnell couldn't hold on to it. Gets it at the second time of asking. Lovely skill. Brilliant from O'Donnell. And then goes on to his left side and puts it wide. It's just Clare's 6th wide, though. They've been pretty economical.
Yeah, shame to see that go wide, but Shane O'Donnell, his feet are one of the most remarkable thing about him. But he gets on the ball here, great first touch, gets it into his hand, then spin, and spin. Yeah, he's incredibly smart, or incredible use of his body, and normally more accurate than that.
Shane Mead is in. He graduated from the under-20 ranks from last year, came off the bench against both Limerick and Tip. He's on for Ian Galvin. He was done very well today, Ian Galvin. There's a little ball over the top, but not enough on it to get beyond Ryan Taylor, who is almost like a magnet to the ball at the moment. Everywhere he goes, it seems to follow him. Delivered long by McInerney. It's good play from Conor Prunty. But Rogers is quick out of the blocks to get the second ball. McInerney again. Looking inside for Malone, he's picked up a brilliant position, goes all the way through to Duggan, back to Malone, hits it first time. Well, that could just be that. Cathal Malone continued to move forward. His third goal in Championship Hurling could be the goal that seals Waterford's fate.
And that's a great sign of a forward unit, a great sign of a team. Peter Duggan flicking the ball inside, looking for the goal ahead of his own score. That's a great, great assist by Peter Duggan. And well done, Cathal Malone, for following that in. Exactly what Waterford didn't want, however.
Well, Billy Nolan will have to delay because there's an injury to a Clare player in the middle of the field. It's David McInerney, who's walking slowly towards the sideline. Penny for the thoughts of Davy Fitzgerald.
He's a player that struggled with injuries the last couple of years. I sincerely hope this isn't anything major and that they're just being safe, because he's a player there's huge respect for in every dressing room. his own and the teams he plays.
Paul Flanagan comes in, an All-Star nominee last year, started against Tip, off the bench against Limerick, and he's in again here. At the moment that's being called a temporary change, but he didn't look to be moving all that well, David McInerney. It's a push in the back on that far side. But you can just sense around Semple Stadium, Seamus, even with the Waterford fans who did make the trip over to Tipperary and Thurles, that the zest around the crowd is gone.
And there's great promise in this Waterford team. They're the first half, more possessions than Clare, more shots than Clare. Conversion was a very, very poor percentage. But they're a legitimately good hurling team. Bubbles alluded to it before the game.
He described them as having the best panel, or close to having the best panel of players in the country in the build-up.
I wonder what he thinks of his own Tipperary panel, but it's to me, you know, it's a strong one from the underage teams that they've had. There's promise there.
This looks promising for Ryan Taylor. Time and time again, Clare attackers are leaving Waterford defenders trailing in their way. As that is down to as much psychological affairs as it is physical. Ryan Taylor, who's really done the donkey work for Clare today, well, he's got his just rewards and he's got a score for himself. 7th time he's raised a white flag in Championship hurling against the Dacia men. Quarter of an hour remaining, and you just feel the full-time whistle can't go quickly enough for this Waterford team, who again will enter their final fixture with nothing to play for. It's happened all too often in recent years. Under Derek McGrath, then Paul Fanning, and more latterly under Liam Cahill. And that's a wayward effort again. Well, it almost ended up over that bar. Fell short though into the hands of Eibhear Quilligan from Stephen Bennett. First touch for the new man in that inside forward line, Shane Meehan. 2 years at under 20 level, he was a real prospect down to play like that. Shane Meehan fires one over the bar. Came off the bench against Tips, scored a couple of points, and he's got another one here.
Yeah, great opportunity for Brian Lohan to bring the likes of Meehan in, give them experience, and it's their energy that'll actually close out the game for Clare, to avoid them walking through the last 15 minutes.
Waterford will be introducing Paudie Fitzgerald shortly, part of last year's under-20 setup. Another one of the bright young players that David Fitzgerald simply will have to bring through if there's to be an uptick in Waterford's fortunes over the next 18 months or so. Here's Rogers. Clever flick inside, knew there were men there, but quickly onto it was Jack Fagan. Now Gleeson. So little purpose behind any of these balls that have been delivered in by the Waterford players. There's a sense they know the futility of what's unfolding and the efforts that they may produce between now and the full-time whistle. One-on-one inside. Rogers still being marshalled by Conor Gleeson. Gleeson comes away with it. Gives it away. Well, it looked like he'd put it down the throat of Ryan Taylor, who perhaps jumped too early. Nothing in it there for Patrick Fitzgerald. Clare now are starting to drop down a gear or two as well. Sent in by Jamie Barron, looking for Hutchinson. All the way over in the far corner of Semple Stadium, a hopeful ball towards Gleeson. Never really got off the ground. And they do look a busted flush now.
It's just very hard. The shape is gone. The energy is gone. It's very, very tough when you're down 12 points in a Munster Championship hurling game.
This is a side who've contested 2 of the last 6 All-Ireland hurling finals, but they are, you feel, entering a period of transition now. It's been a disastrous year for Waterford hurling. So far, between their minor, under-20 and senior sides, if you include this game today, Seamus, it's 11 games, 11 defeats.
Yeah, and the opposite, what a week for Clare. Minor, under-20 Munster champions, and now this.
Well, they've had one victory at under 20 level since they won the All-Ireland in that grade back in the under 21 days in 2016. All is not well in the game in the Dacia County, and it's just getting worse and worse here at Semple Stadium today. That's the second score of the game for Shane O'Donnell. Clare will introduce Shane O'Morey very shortly, another experienced campaigner. 35 championship appearances under his belt before today. Waterford will be bringing in Patrick Curran, who's enjoyed great success with his county at underage level. Rory Hayes withdrawn.
Substitution on the Water team, number 20, Patrick Curran, replaces number 12, Neil.
So in comes Curran. His 9th year on the panel, yet to feature in the championship this year before now. Being withdrawn is Neil Montgomery. Let's say 7th wide of the game for Clare. Billy Nolan goes short. Helped out wide by Jack Prendergast. Forward by Gleeson, Conor Gleeson. Lovely turn by Desi Hutchinson. Again shooting for goal while off balance and leaning backwards. It was never on. There's such an air of desperation emanating from everything Waterford tried to do. Cathal Malone. Think how close Waterford came to beating Limerick in their opening game. How different a complexion there would have been on their championship had they come out the right side of that result. Here's Nolan. Curran back inside to Paddy Fitzgerald. His brother Seamus is on the bench as well. And turning into the tackle was Patrick Curran, but he did well to come out with the ball. Now Daly leaves it off to Paddy Fitzgerald. Long range effort from him, goes wide.
Yeah. And the nearest man to goal is Patrick Fitzgerald inside. He's marking 3 Clare men. So the option in for the shot at goal is just not on. And like you said, the purpose absent. And where are they going to get a score? Where is the coaching to say to spread out? Where's the direction?
Well, Paddy Levy from Ballygunner has come in for his championship debut, not the circumstances in which he'd like to have stepped onto the championship stage for the first time. Robin Manxie is in for Clare. Both benches now being emptied. Here's O'Donnell. Checking him is Paddy Levy. O'Donnell looking for his 3rd, and that's been pulled to the left and wide. And any sense that this is of a championship standard or championship fare, Seamus, has long left the building.
Well, what I would say for the Clare team, especially for Mounsey this after coming on and Meehan, they're looking to make an impression on Brian Lohan. When I look at the Tipperary team and the people that Liam Cahill has given opportunities to his under-20s, he's trying to find new guys to make an impact when they're needed most. They're not needed most today, but it's down the line they're trying to make the impression.
Waterford will still have one more game to play. They've next week off, then they take on Tip, a Tip team that will be ravenous, looking to continue the progress they've made under Liam Cahill. They've picked up 3 points from their opening 2 games. Good work from O'Donnell again. And he looks the Shane O'Donnell of old. He was wrapped up in kid gloves this time last year coming into the championship. They gave him the first few months of 2023 off as well, Seamus, and he seems to have wintered well.
Yeah, so he's a guy who's always in incredible shape, a very intelligent player. The scare that he had with the head injuries and concussions you know, for all of us in the game looking at it, we were really hoping that a player of his abilities, his talent, would overcome them and still turn out in the Clare jersey.
And that's a score for Robin Mountseam. We just saw Aaron Shanaher coming in, one of the most goal-hungry players in this Clare forward line. That is not what you want to see if you're a Waterford defender whose spirit is waning. Shanaher will look to make an impression because he's one of those guys who feels he should be in the starting 15. There'll be no let-up for Mark Fitzgerald, who has gone in to take on Aaron Shanaher. But for the moment, it's a Waterford ball. And it's Stephen Bennett looking to take this free.
Doesn't seem to be any players in around the square either. They're hoping for a short one. Patrick Fitzgerald doing it there again.
Wide number 14. And even Waterford's tally of 13, Seamus, as we approach the end of the game. It's a paltry amount.
Yeah, it's just it's their wides in the first half that really did set them up poorly. Yes, they lost a man, but when you're hitting wides at the frequency they were hitting in the first half, it just chips away at your mentality. It saps the energy.
Tuggan couldn't reach that one. Back out the field it comes to Colin Malone, who got that goal earlier in this second half. Lovely ball. Scampering away with it is Shane Amori. He's got pace to burn. Plenty of skill as well to boot, but he couldn't finish that one off. Clare have become increasingly wayward as well as this second half meanders towards its inevitable conclusion. Hutchinson. From Waterford. And Patrick Curran. 2-on-1 over that near side. Gives it away. Given away though by Ryan Taylor. Straight to Desi Hutchinson. Hutchinson wants it on his left, has it on his left, and he sticks it over the bar for his second point of the game. Into the final throws of this championship encounter. And the final throws of Waterford as a side of relevance in this Munster championship. All they can hope to do is spoil the tip party in a couple of weeks. The only side they've actually beaten in this group format.
Liam Cahill
Long range effort from Curran.
Liam Cahill factor definitely be relevant next week for the players, absolutely.
Curran raises a white flag. Referee wants to come back and deal with some paperwork.
Yeah, Curran looking for ball and he comes in. He's able to stand and strike at this stage with the space. Good score though. It's a really good take from Darragh Lyons. Lyons was being fouled. Here is Curran. Pops that one over the bar. Second for him since his introduction. Last couple of minutes. However, Quilligan taking his time. There's Hutchinson. And Jamie Barron. That should be a clear ball. We'll have an additional 3 minutes at the end of the 70. Well, Seamus, I have a feeling it's going to be a Clare man. That's your player of the match, but who have you been looking up over the last few minutes? Yeah, there's been a couple of players. Jimmy Ryan was excellent in the first half. And Ryan Taylor has been a dynamo. Colin Malone has been excellent around the middle of the field. But Tony Kelly, you saw the bit of craft there on the sideline, touching the ball off the Waterford man's leg to toe over the line. He is our Bord Gáis man of the match today. He's been fantastic, 12 points. It hasn't been a perfect day for Clare, but Tony was one bringing the intent and the energy in the beginning, even when Clare weren't putting things together.
So it is Tony Kelly, the former hurler of the year, who is the Bord Gáis Energy man of the match today. It's a day in which he's been given plenty of freedom to showcase his skills. It's unlikely he'll get as much space in the championship from here on. The big tests will continue to come. The next one is against Cork. But there's no doubt that if Limerick are to be dethroned in 2023, that leading the list of contenders is arguably Clare.
Yeah, there's no question, especially how close they've been the last couple of years. But even how Clare used Tony today, they knew they were going to go up against a sweeper system, a man-marking job most likely, so they played him inside. I do like how Brian Lohan can change how he deploys Tony depending on the opposition. I think it was smart today, and I think we're seeing the fruits of it.
13th score of the day for the Clare skipper. One of those last remaining links to the glory days of 2013 and the years that preceded that at underage level, and all those All-Ireland under-21 titles that were delivered to the Banner County. Since then, Waterford won a minor All-Ireland, another 21 All-Ireland, contested 2 senior All-Irelands. But they have to go back to the drawing board, Waterford. They are the poor relation of Munster hurling at the moment. Just the 3 additional minutes which Waterford will welcome. The sooner they can get out of here, the better. And they need to be playing these games on home soil, Seamus. Having to head up the road to Thurles is not ideal. We know how unforgiving Walsh Park can be when it's full and it's thronged with Waterford supporters.
Yeah, no, what really hit for me was when Clare came out and the reception they received before the game. You'd barely even know that Waterford left their dressing room when they entered the field for supposedly home game. So it's tough. It's part of the plans for the Walsh Park redevelopment. The sooner the better, you would think.
Here is Jack Prendergast. One final scrap for the ball.
Peter Duggan there involved in the fight for possession. He's another guy who's really put up his hand. Again, the selflessness for the goal really tells me, against Limerick last week, the goal that he scored, the work rate to turnover, the point that he got before half-time when Clare were behind. Peter Duggan, to me, is another guy who's really holding his head up this year and trying to lead by example.
Ball across for Bennett's dealt with pretty well by Aberquilligan, and he's won a free out. Where does Davy Fitz go from here? It's 3 defeats out of 4 against his native county when he's been managing Waterford and Wexford. Brian Lohan continues to make progress with this Clare team. And a big week for Clare hurling, delivering the minor championship as well. And they've taken a big step towards a Munster senior final today. And they know if they beat Cork in their final game, that's exactly where they'll be headed.
It is tough to see, say, for the Davy Fitzgerald-led Waterford. Where did they go last year? You know, they were so uncompetitive at the end of the championship campaign that promised so much off their league campaign. You know, what you would have thought was continuity, somebody playing the same style of play, Liam Cahill, players all rowing together and singing off the same hymn sheet. They really have struggled this year and been really inferior to the last 2 opponents.
Well, that's a miss by Tony Kelly. I'd already chalked him down for the score. Well, Waterford's miserable run in Munster continues. That's 6 championship defeats in a row in the provincial series. Their wait for a win over Clare will move into at least an 8th year. 3 defeats in a row, and they are done in terms of being a factor in this Munster Championship. Clare, you wonder with the extra man, Seamus, what they'll have taken from it, but it's a second win, and they go into the game with Cork now knowing that there's a place in the Munster final on the line.
Yeah, they weren't, again, like we said, they weren't perfect in the first half. Turnovers in the backs, leading to Waterford scores. Poor link-up play at times around the middle of the field. So Brian Lohan will be glad that he's after getting, I would say, some of the bad play out of the system. I had room to breathe against this Waterford team. For them, they've got bigger fish to fry in that Cork game that's coming up.
Well, thanks to Seamus for his words over the course of the afternoon. There'll be bigger tests to come for Clare, and you hope better days to come for Waterford. Full time at Semple Stadium. It is Waterford 16 points, Clare 222. We'll pick through the bones of that in a couple of minutes' time.